All right, welcome back, Josh. Our next topic this month, we're going to be talking about access control. And a lot of people know Accutech for Cuddles and for ResidentGuard and for those types of systems, but they don't really know a lot about the access. What do you wish they knew more about the access side of Accutech?
In all reality, I wish more people just knew we had it. There's another large piece of our portfolio that can serve two great purposes. One, make a difference for our integrator, add a significant revenue stream for the integrator. And two, help our end users with needs that they all have. So awareness is the big thing.
Is there a reason specifically that Accutech decided to start offering an electronic access control platform?
Yeah, there's a number of reasons. One of Accutech's strengths is focus. And when I talk about focus, it doesn't mean we only do one specific little tiny thing. It means that as we add things to our portfolio, they're single adjacency additions, meaning that there's a lot of things in common and there's just one little difference. And so for this, it's the same customers. We already secure doors. We're basically just changing from preventing egress to preventing ingress. So that was one reason. The other reason is the market need is tremendous. Every one of our customers who has a Cuddles system or has a ResidentGuard system likely either already has or needs electronic access control. And then the third reason that just made it a home run is Accutech is part of a portfolio of companies, and it just so happens that one of our companies has a world-class solution that we could steal, for lack of a better term. And so why wouldn't we give our dealers and their end users access to this solution where the engineering's already been paid for, where it's proven in the market? It seemed crazy not to do it.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's a fit in your overall mission of protecting people in general. There's a lot of access control systems on the market. What do you think makes Accutech Access different?
I think it's just better than most, if not all, systems on the market. Whether you're looking at the healthcare environment or any other one, it's more flexible, it's more scalable, it's more capable, it's easier to use for end users, easier to program for integrators. So I think it's just better. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the support that comes with it, specifically having it flow through the Accutech channel. You're not only getting this world-class solution and world-class expertise in electronic access control and integration, but also expertise in the market. We speak the language. We understand their needs. We understand their process flows. When you combine a world-class solution with world-class industry and market knowledge, that's, I think, what's going to make it way more successful.
Do you feel like there's some specific problems that you're trying to solve for hospitals and senior living facilities that this access control system works particularly well for?
I think for senior living and healthcare environments in general, hospitals, et cetera, access control solutions are built for one of two things: simple, non-complex environments where you just need to lock the door at a certain time and need to unlock the door at a certain time. Think of like an anytime fitness, very low risk, very low risk. And on the other end of the spectrum are areas or environments where their sole focus and purpose is security. Think courthouses, jails, embassies, that type of thing. And so I think you have these two solutions. I think healthcare is a mix of those two things because security is incredibly important. You have high risk environments like emergency departments, you have pharmaceutical rooms, you have all these things that really need high end security. But their primary purpose is not security. Their primary purpose is meeting their patients' needs and caring for their residents. Where the Accutech Access solution fits in that is it is designed for these tremendously secure environments. So it meets all those needs and can do anything you could possibly want it to do. But at the same time, designed to be super easy and kind of set it and forget it. You don't need hundreds of thousands of resources to manage the solution.
I'm going to backtrack for just a second in case we have anybody who's watching who's new and doesn't really understand what electronic access control is. Can you take a 1 minute kind of what is EAC? What's it used for?
If you look at EAC, we've used that shorthand. It's electronic access control. And in its simplest term, it's a card reader at the door where you present a credential to, and it unlocks the door based on your access level or denies access to that door based on that access level. Again, I talked about an anytime fitness. It's open 24 hours a day. You sign up, you get your credential, you can access it. If you fail to pay, they cancel your credential and you can't get access. At its simplest term, that's what it is. What Accutech Access is much more than that. It does that, and it does it very well, and it allows you flexibility in who goes where, but it's also an integration engine. And so when we talk about providing secure environments, we talk about integrating camera systems and intrusion detection, glass break monitors, and parking structures and parking access and gas flow, and all of those different things provide the secure environment. And what Accutech Access does is it does the controlling ingress and egress very well and very easily. But it also then takes all those other disparate security systems that you may have in your facility and integrates them into one pane of glass and provides interoperability. And using ladder logic can drive activities. So a prime example of that is if you have a attempted ingress at an area with a credential that is not approved. So let's think of a pharmacy room or a narcotics room in a hospital, and you have somebody present their badge to it and they're denied access because they're not approved to get in there. You can integrate Accutech Access to your camera system, and it will immediately mark that as an event and save the recording from 10 seconds before and 10 seconds afterwards and tie it to that event. So now you not only did what a traditional access control system would do, i.e. deny access, but you have a very easy audit trail to define what happened and address it immediately. And so that's what Accutech Access is. I think one thing to point out is when I talk about disparate systems in your hospital that we didn't manufacture and you didn't buy from us. And so in most instances, we have many drivers for camera systems, to go back to that example. And so let's say you have a visual on camera system in your hospital. You don't have to rip and replace that. We have a driver that connects directly to that system and allows you that interoperability.
So a lot of our dealers already, they have other access control systems that they've used in the past. What's a reason you might say that they should take a look at Accutech Access if they haven't already?
If they don't sell it, I'd say it's a great revenue stream. It ultimately does represent more revenue per opportunity than a Cuddles or ResidentGuard system, and it's the same customer. If you don't have a system, I think that's the home run. You're talking to the same customer. It's coming out of the same budget oftentimes. It just makes sense. If you already have a system or you've already dabbled with access control, I would say that, one, it's the interoperability of the Cuddles and ResidentGuard system with it. Two, it's a name they're familiar and confident with. If they already have an Accutech system, they know that it works. And so you get that halo effect to the Accutech Access. You don't have to introduce a new player into the game. And it comes back with the same service. And so for dealers, you're going to be talking to the same people. You're going to be writing checks to the same people. You're going to be able to hold the same people accountable. So I think it just makes sense.
Let's talk a little bit more about what makes Accutech Access easier for integrators to sell and install and support from that perspective.
One, it's very easy to sell because it works for every application you could imagine. If it's very simple and very small application for maybe a small part of a hospital or a small part of a senior living facility, it works for that. If it's very complex with a lot of integrations, it works for that. So you really only need one product in your portfolio. So that's the huge advantage. Additionally, then, if you move further down the road of installing it and supporting it, it was designed for ease of use in mind. We talked about interoperability before, and some other systems provide that type of interoperability, but it requires custom coding. And custom coding is a problem because if the person who wrote the custom coding leaves, as an integrator, you don't know how to service it. But we built that into our system, so it's literally drag and drop and click. It's ladder logic that drives it. As you install it and try to set it up, as you support it and try to change the configuration and setup, it's very easy to use. The amount of time you're going to have to dedicate to care and feeding is going to go way down.
You talked about some very small applications and some very large applications. Would you say it's also scalable where you could start small and then scale?
Absolutely. 100%. You could start with 2 doors and all it's doing is literally locking doors at 11 p.m. and opening up doors at 8 a.m. And 5 years down the road, have 2,000 doors integrated to every possible system in your facility. And you never had to rip and replace everything. The other great thing is you only pay for what you use. You're not using a camera integration. You don't pay for a camera integration. You only have 4 readers. You're only paying for 4 readers. You update to 1,000 readers. You're going to pay for 1,000 readers. It's scalable and cost effective because you never have to rip and replace, and you're only paying for the features that you need.
That was actually going to lead me right into my next question is how does the model of the pricing help our dealers compete?
As you define the functionality of the system and define the scope of the system, you will be quoting for that scope and for that functionality. It's incredibly competitively priced in the first place. It is a very cost-effective solution from that standpoint. But we understand that in healthcare, both in the acute care space and the long-term care space, that budget is a concern and nobody wants to pay for something that they aren't using.
Is there any other reasons you want to discuss about why it's such a good fit, Accutech Access specifically for the healthcare side of things?
I think it's a summary of a lot of the things we've already touched on. So one is it works for every application. So you only need to carry one thing in your portfolio. You're never going to be put in a position of, oh, well, we can't do that. Two is, quite frankly, it's over-engineered. You always want a system that has more capabilities than less. In my opinion, you always want a system, when we're talking about security, that is used in higher security environments than only applicable for lower security environments. There are systems out there that are designed for anytime fitness, and that's all that they do. If you put that in a healthcare facility, it will get the job done, but there will be some real gaps and you're exposing yourself to risk. Instead, you're talking about a solution that was originally designed for banks and embassies and water treatment plants and jails. So you're not going to outstrip its capabilities. And so I think that's important.
What are some of the things that you feel like healthcare organizations are asking for today that they weren't asking for maybe 5 to 10 years ago?
So I think a couple of things that we're seeing is, one, we're seeing access be more finitely controlled. The control levels be more granular. Historically, in healthcare settings, there was maybe one or two areas that had restricted access, but everything else was treated the same. Most of the other doors, your credential got you in anywhere at any time. And so now we're looking at those access levels being much more granular. And Accutech Access supports that very elegantly. The other thing is something we talked about before, and that's integrations. They want their systems to work together. And part of that is just because it gives you more situational awareness and the ability to respond more quickly. But the other thing is it's just an operational cost perspective. If you're trying to manage the security in your building with 6 different systems that operate on 6 different computers in 6 different areas, you need at least 3 different operators, one to handle 2 at a time. And then if you want to effectively respond to a crisis, you probably need 6 people hitting keystrokes to control those things in real time. And now, with the integration, better situational awareness, better response times, lower operational costs, that's something that we're seeing a lot of.
There's some jargon that is thrown around a little bit in the electronic access control world. Can you explain what PSIM is in plain English?
Yeah, it stands for Physical Security Information Management. In layman's terms, it's integrating all the information from disparate systems into one unified user interface and allowing those systems to interact together and drive activity.
I know you mentioned cameras earlier as one of the integration. Specifically in a hospital, what are some of the other systems that typically would be integrated to with the access control system?
There's really no limit to the type of integrations, but it oftentimes starts on the front end with implementation and adding and deleting credentials. And so we can integrate to your HR system. So when you onboard a new employee, you can put them into a specific employee group that defines their access level. So that's kind of the first integration. But then also, like I said, you have cameras, you have intrusion protection. So if you have glass break monitors, those types of things in place, you can do parking controls and the credentials related to that. You can do fence monitoring if you have a secure fence out there. You can do something as unrelated to security in some aspects, but very related to safety in terms of monitoring your gases and your gas flow and smoke detectors and heat detectors to ensure that not only are you providing a secure environment, but you're providing a safe environment. To give you an idea, we have some applications that monitor environmental factors so that if a certain material or gas is present, it not only locks doors to ensure that people can't enter that hazardous area, but also changes ventilation flow so that material or gas is off-gassed in a safe way and or not spread throughout the facility. So there's really no limits to what you can integrate to. Many of those integrations are already written, and if they're not, we have a team of engineers who can write those.
What do you think is one thing that surprises most people about Accutech Access after they actually see it?
There's a couple things. First is when our sales team give people a demo and they see what its capabilities are, they're shocked by the price. I've sat in on a number of these calls. I've sat in on a number of these presentations. And afterwards, the integrator may already carry a solution. And we don't talk about price at the beginning of a presentation. They realize the power of the solution and think, well, that's great, but it's going to price us out of the market because our current solution only does 1/3 of what this does. And we're already bumping up against budgetary issues. And then we oftentimes just say, hey, so next time you have an opportunity, let us quote it as well. And then they're shocked to find that we're lower price. That I think is something that really surprises them. And then the other thing, if you move beyond, they're impressed by the functionality. They're impressed by how easy it is to implement the functionality. Salespeople don't really care about that. So if we're presenting to salespeople, unfortunately, salespeople are like, oh, that's the other side of the building. They'll take care of it and they don't worry about it. But when we do the technical training, they're astonished by how easy it is to program, how easy it is to set up a system, how easy it is to set up the integrations and get that interoperability in place.
If someone's thinking about doing their first Accutech Access project, what kind of help do we offer our partners with those types of first projects if they're taking a step in that direction?
I would say there's really no limit to it. We're very excited about dealers adding this to their portfolio. Just like any of our other products, we try to be as helpful as possible. We'll employ the kind of see one, do one, teach one model, where if you have an opportunity, we'll do all the selling the first time. And then the next time you can do the selling and we'll watch you and be there to support you. And then you'll be able to do it, teach other people in your organization to do it. So that's on the very front end. We'll obviously work with you to do layout and quoting, wiring diagrams, etc. It sounds like we're taking on a tremendous burden. I've got to be quite honest with you. The system's pretty easy to sell and pretty easy to set up. And so it's not that big of a burden. But yeah, as somebody tries to add this to their portfolio, we understand that opportunities can move fast. And so maybe there won't be the opportunity to train everybody up, and we'll kind of do it all for you.
Where do you see Accutech Access going over the next couple of years?
I would guess that in the next 3 to 5 years, for a large percentage of our integrators, it will be the majority of revenue that they're driving through Accutech. That's how big I think the opportunity is, and that's how well I think the solution is suited for this market. And I think that revenue is going to be split equally between existing Accutech customers. So they have ResidentGuard or they have Cuddles, and now they're doing Accutech Access with them. And also it'll be customers' first exposure to Accutech and give our integrators the opportunity to capitalize on a Cuddles opportunity or a ResidentGuard opportunity further down the road. So I think our business is really going to change. That's not to say that we won't continue to focus on and continue to develop world-class wandering and infant protection products. It's an afterthought today for many of our dealers, and I think it'll be a defining product in our portfolio.
If you could leave our partners with one message about Accutech Access after they see this video, what would be the one thing you'd want them to walk away with?
I'm going to have one message for integrators who don't do access control and one message for integrators who already play in access control. If you don't do access control, we'd love you to do it with Accutech. You should do it. It's, as I said, it's the same customer. It's a great revenue opportunity. If your technicians can work on ResidentGuard or Cuddles, they can work on an access control solution, and you should take advantage of that. Again, we'd love it to be Accutech, but from a business case perspective, I think it just makes sense. For those that already have an access control solution in their portfolio, I would say give us a try. It's low impact, it's low risk. It can be a low to no lift on your perspective. If you have an opportunity in the pipeline, call your sales representative, have them put together a competitive quote, and I can promise you the solution will work. And I'm 99.9% certain that it'll be very competitive.
I think that's everything we've got today on Accutech Access. Thanks so much, Josh, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, Amy. Have a great day.